Hi, I'm Kelsey, and this is my friend Mia. We are here to help you learn about comparative and superlative adverbs. As you have already learned, adverbs are words that modify a verb, adjective, or another adverb. So you see, adverbs, like adjectives, are modifiers. They have the power to shape the way we perceive an action or a description. When modifying action verbs, adverbs are words that answer the questions how, when, or where was the action done. When modifying adjectives or other adverbs, they tell us to what extent that adjective or adverb should be applied. Let's take a look at some adverbs that answer the questions how, when, and where. Remember, these are adverbs that modify action verbs. So let's start with an action verb, like dance. How did Ramsey dance? Ramsey danced gracefully. When will she dance again? Ramsey will dance again tomorrow. Where does she dance? Ramsey dances outside. Every form of the action verb dance can be modified by an adverb to answer the questions how, when, and where. Remember, adverbs can also answer the question to what extent when applied to an adjective or another adverb. For example, Ramsey dances very gracefully. Notice that the adverb very is answering the question, to what extent does she dance gracefully? So here we have an adverb modifying another adverb. We could also use an adverb to modify an adjective, like if we said, Ramsey is not shy. The adverb not is telling us to what extent she is shy, which is not at all. So you see, adverbs not only modify verbs, they also modify other modifiers. Adverbs are very busy words. Now that we've had a little review of adverbs, we're going to narrow our focus to the ones that modify verbs. Remember how we said that Ramsey dances gracefully? Well, Mia dances more gracefully than Ramsey. This is called a comparative adverb. We can compare the way two actions are performed by adding the word more, or possibly less, in front of the adverb. So now you know that a comparative adverb is the form of an adverb that expresses a relative comparison between two actions. Let's look at some examples. You might think that you're singing quietly until someone asks you to sing more quietly. Or while walking cautiously and tripping, you discover you need to walk even more cautiously. Maybe you're familiar with awkwardly and more awkwardly, but let's not talk about my dancing. Of course, comparisons don't always have to show more of an adverb. Maybe you approached your first performance eagerly, but nerves got to you, and you approached your next performance less eagerly. Notice that to create the comparative form of these adverbs, we added the word more or the word less. These are what we call regular comparative adverbs. But of course, it's not always that simple. We also have irregular comparative adverbs. These are comparative adverbs that are a little more complicated because we do something other than adding more or less. Let's say you worked hard to get the part, but someone else worked even harder. Notice that we added the suffix er, like we do with regular comparative adjectives. That happens with some adverbs, like running fast or running faster, running far or running farther. Maybe you performed well, but that other person performed even better. But no matter how badly you feel about getting a minor role, you know it could feel even worse. These comparative forms are completely different words from the original adverbs. I bet you've already predicted that if there are comparative adverbs, that means there are also superlative adverbs. Remember how I said that Ramsey dances gracefully, but Mia dances more gracefully? Well, Sasha dances the most gracefully of all. Most gracefully is called a superlative adverb because it represents the extreme or the greatest degree to which that adverb can be applied. So now you know that a superlative adverb is the form of an adverb used to indicate an extreme or unsurpassed level among actions. As with comparative adverbs, there's a regular way to create superlative adverbs. The superlative form of quietly is most quietly, and the superlative form of cautiously is most cautiously. Awkwardly becomes most awkwardly. And of course, if we're moving in the other direction with our superlative, the furthest extreme for eagerly is least eagerly. Adding most or least to an adverb usually makes it superlative. But of course, that's not always true. We also have irregular superlative adverbs. Remember how hard you worked? Well, was it the hardest you've ever worked? You performed really well, but the person who performed best got the part. And while you may have felt badly when you didn't get the lead, it's not the worst you've ever felt. These are a few of the irregular superlative adverbs. They're the ones that are formed by something other than adding most or least. Let's do a little practice. We'll start with the adverb loudly. What's the comparative form? Right, more loudly. And the superlative? You got it, most loudly. All right, let's look at the comparative adverb worse. What's the superlative for worse? It's worst. So now we have worse and worst. What's the adverb we'd start with? It's badly. Badly, worse, worst. Last one. We'll start with the superlative and work backwards. If the superlative is the one who arrived latest, what's the comparative adverb? That's right, someone who arrived later. And the adverb we'd start with would be late. Try to avoid arriving late. Now you know that a comparative adverb is used to express a relative comparison between two actions. And a superlative adverb is the form of an adverb that expresses an extreme or unsurpassed level among actions. Now, all you need to remember is to think cleverly, or more cleverly, or the most cleverly, or just remember to always be clever. Hey.